To Live Free with Rebecca Bush. This is episode 20. And I'm really excited to be joined with Marat from the Ark Ecovillage in Costa Rica. Coincidentally, originally John was planning to interview him today, but John is on his way to a marketing conference in Dallas. And I was actually able to jump in and do the interview, which it all worked out because a few months ago, I personally visited the Ark and I got to meet Marat in person. And actually, the reason we're all kind of converging here too is because I really enjoyed touring the community that he and others are building in Costa Rica. And I just could tell the passion and enthusiasm like oozing through him. And it was just such a cool property and the land and the way that they're growing the food already and the site plan, the vision, everything is so big, like 10x large scale. I was like, oh my gosh, we've got to have him come out to the Exit and Build Land Summit. And so we're really excited also to have Marat do a custom presentation for this year's Exit and Build Land Summit. For those of you who maybe haven't heard yet, we are really excited about the theme this year. We're going to have the eagle and condor prophecy incorporated and weaved throughout all of the different talks at this year's event. So whether you're able to come out in person, this is May 17th through the 19th in Bastrop, Texas at the Bastrop Convention Center, or if you were able to just sign up and watch from home, we actually have the first day and a half of the event streaming for free. We want as many people as possible to feel inspired, to exit systems that are no longer serving us, and to build alternatives, to build the new earth, to build out parallel institutions where we're growing our own food, having our own decision-making and peace and conflict resolution mechanisms, as well as regenerating the planet. And I think what Marat and his team are doing at the Ark is a perfect example of this. I'm so excited to have him on the podcast today. So let's bring him on. Yay. Okay, here we go. I'm still learning the tech stuff. Okay, there you are.
Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, thank you so much for being on the show. I would love for you, I did a little micro introduction, but I would love for you to take it away, introduce yourself. I posted some videos when I was in Costa Rica and got to see your community, videos, pictures, but hearing it from you personally definitely will be enlightening for folks. So if you want to introduce yourself and share a little bit about what you're building down there in Costa Rica, that would be awesome.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name is Marat. I'm the founder of the Ark, which is, we call it a modern regenerative village that's located in Santa Teresa, Costa Rica. And what we are doing, I always love to say that the last thing that we do is creating a real estate development project, because it is not what it is. It is in a certain way, right? It's like land and everything that comes with it. But at the same time, our mission is to practically, and I really love, thank you so much, Rebecca, for this introduction, because and this addition about creating or exiting the system that's not serving anymore, because that's essentially what we're doing. We are experimenting, we're creating some other types and sorts of a system that we think is going to work. And this system, as we see it, is where people, well, it's a community living, right? And it's as autonomous living as possible. And it is living that's also where you're sharing the success of the whole village, where there is no division between this is mine and this is yours, but this is where it's more of like a mindset of this is ours. And we believe that cooperation is where the success for the future generations lie down, right? And that's the system that's not functioning or not serving, that has created so much of separation and division among all of us. Now is the time, now that we are grown-ups, now that we are adults, it's the time to redo this system. And that's practically what we're doing. And that's what I decided to dedicate my life to.
Yes. Yeah. And I love, let me bring you back here. I love too that, things take a different direction and they evolve. And I remember you were sharing, initially you were thinking about building in Tulum and Mexico. I loved how you said Mexico has this like dark and light energy. And it's like, ooh, don't get sucked into the darkness there. But there's also a lot of beauty, and it's kind of the portal south. Like, can you share a little bit about what grounded you in Costa Rica eventually, and how you were originally looking in Tulum, and like just being
Yeah.
flexible and really like, zenning into like the land is the first partner. So like, I guess what I'm trying to ask is like, how did you find this land, and like, what was
Yeah.
that journey like for you? Because that's half the battle, is figuring out where to build, a development like this, right?
True, true. Thank you so much. Yeah, I always like to say I lived in Mexico for 5 years, and I love Mexico with all my heart. And I think maybe deep down somewhere in my roots, I was Mexican in the past life. And I always love to say that Mexico has the light of lights and the darkness of darknesses. It's very polar country. It's like a lot is happening, and the culture, the traditions are so deep, and I love so many things about it. But at the same time, there are like certain factors that, for me, making a long-term project were complicated to make it in Mexico, moreover, as a foreigner. And Costa Rica was always ringing the bell. And living in Tulum, it hurted me seeing developments. And that's why I really don't like to call the Ark a real estate development, because I know the weight with which people conceive now this phrase, right? That is like mostly it's now perceived negatively. And I saw real estate developments destructing hundreds of hectares of jungle just to put new condominiums, and it's just like more and more and more. And I felt that for me, I could not live anymore in a place which is like, it goes into different directions with what I truly believe in. Although I really believe that Tulum gave me so much, and Mexico gave me so much, and I really adore this place, and I believe it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. But at the same time, I strongly believe that real estate developments have to bring positive change to nature or to whatever local community where they're coming to, and not to deplete the place. And that's why, searching for the land, the main reason, or the main factor, was that we had to find the depleted land already. We could not afford ourselves to cut a single tree to make the project of our dreams. It would be such a non-integrity living, right? So we found this pasture land that was deforested more than 50 years ago. And we kind of embarked on this mission of making, yes, the project, the Ark, but at the same time reforesting back the land. Because due to huge beef export from Costa Rica to the United States, between 40s and 80s, Costa Rica deforested a lot of lands to make cattle raising pasture lands. And now they're reversing this project back, because this process back, because they understood the detrimental effect that they made to their own country. So now all these deforested pasture lands are slowly getting back reforested. But cattle raising business is like present, and that's what we found. We found this cattle raising farm, which we are reforesting now. And you've been, Rebecca, you've been at the land, right? And you've seen what uncontrolled what pasture is doing to the soil. It's like it's overgrazed, and like, you don't have productive soil on the land. So like for us, it was a mission to grow food, and also like, to prove to ourselves, first of all, and also to everyone who were obviously skeptical about it, that we can grow and we can be self-sustainable on the food that we're going to grow on our land. Now, 2 years down the line, we understand that we have a thriving farm, and that we are producing food for ourselves. We're starting commercializing the farm as well. And 1st of July, we're starting like letting the farm go into the solo journey, and it's going to become a separate company, and like self-sustainable company. But now it's like, these are easy words after 2 years, like, oh, we're doing that. These were 2 years of hard work of the team, of the permaculture team behind the farm. And now we're on the other side of the story. So that's how we found the land, and that was the main, let's say, vetting factor for the land, to find the land that was already deforested, that was already depleted.
Yeah, and the land is awesome. I was there in January. You guys had set up the first farm to table meal was when our Ecovillage tour visited, and the food was like so delicious. And then you had us up on the, area of it was like the higher elevation, so we could see the beautiful views. You can literally see the ocean. Like, I thought that was really cool too, because it's like you have, access to a nearby town and a beautiful beach and all the amenities you would imagine, with Costa Rica living, right? When you think of Costa Rica. But then you also have like a sanctuary, and it's so like, it's like its own little, I mean, not little, it's huge. It's a huge property, but it almost feels like a little an autonomous village with the way that you guys are designing it. I want to share the this is, I hope everyone can see this, the site plan. Do you see that on your end?
Yep.
Let's
Yep.
walk through this, because this is what I was excited about. I mean, you're literally like creating what you've created is like my life goals here. Because you have to have a nice amount of residents. The Dunbar number is like 150 residents or less, is usually when you can really know everyone on a first name basis. You have a lot of lots here carved out, 87 lot locations in the site plan. Is that correct?
88, yes, correct. 88 residential lots, and we are 200-acre property. And thank you so much. We hear it very often, like when people come and they're like, "Oh my God, you're doing exactly what I was dreaming of doing." And it's a compliment. It seems a lot of us are dreaming about the same things, right?
But the way that you have this all situated, and I think what's really important with these communities is that there is a wildlife sanctuary or some area where it's a nature preserve. And so I think it's really amazing that you have that incorporated into, because it's important to have, you don't want to say you're doing this regenerative project and cut down all the trees. I mean, that's ridiculous, So it's cool that you have that carved in, as well as a variety of amenities. So, you were talking about the farm, and I can screen share back so folks can see how, that's getting built out, which was really cool to walk through and see all of the food forests and the regenerative agriculture when I visited. And it seems like that's really been the main focus the last 2 or 3 years, although you have also sold already a few lots, but there's still quite a few here. So if people are wanting to move to Costa Rica, I mean, this is a valid option for you. And then you're building out in the future, and maybe you can elaborate on these amenities, better than I, and how long you think it'll take.
Sure, definitely. Thank you so much. It's like that. The idea is, first of all, that we believe that what we have to understand about the Ark, that the Ark is not a business. We don't have investors. There is no return of investment plan or something like that. Essentially, why we are making the Ark, why we are creating the Ark, is to create the home for ourselves. But at the same time, this home has to be sustainable. So it's like you're now scrolling the screen, right? There are like the Ark is divided into amenities and to businesses. So businesses is something that will sustain the Ark financially, and also that everybody who is joining the Ark as residents, they're becoming shareholders of this company that owns all the businesses inside of the Ark. So it's not just like, we are making business and you are buying the land from us. It's like we are creating the village altogether. And when we were thinking about what to add to the Ark, what to have inside, it was the same process of dreaming that many of us did, right? And we were like, okay, if this is our home, what do we want to have inside? And of course, plans have changed dramatically from what it was like 2 years ago up to now. And they changed, like, by also nature kind of guides us towards how they have changed, because we were like, I really love the idea of having our own bee sanctuary. It's just like a small example, right? And we were having dedicated space for bee sanctuary. And we were like, we're going to cultivate bees, and we're going to, all these romantic ideas about it. And then we made the farm. And then, something like a half a year ago, we saw that wild bees came back. And we are like, okay, so we don't have to make a bee sanctuary, because bees are there, actually. It's just that they needed place to eat practically. And as you said, like we have 60 acres of the jungle that obviously we're not going to touch. And we're working with the government of Costa Rica to make it natural reserve. And we are preserving it as a jungle, and we're making wildlife reserve there. And the rest of the lots, we strongly believe that, I don't really like the word luxury, but whatever, let's use it. But I strongly believe that luxury of life is not living in mansions that look into each other's windows, right? When you have these condominiums, when you have square lots that cut it, and you just live like that. We believe that real luxury of life is living on the land, having a lot of your own land, and being able to grow your own food as well, aside of the central farm, but being able to grow your own food on your land as well. So therefore, our lots, they're relatively big. They start from 1.2 acres, and the biggest one is 2.5 acres. So then we started thinking like, okay, that these are our lots, and we made them titled lots, but we were talking about it, Rebecca, right? Like I strongly believe in the system of owning the land. So when people are joining the Ark, they get the titled land. So this land is yours. Whatever happens, this is your land, right? And you can pass it through generations and do whatever you want with it. And then we making the amenities or businesses, we were like, okay, so what do we really want to have in the village where we're gonna be living, where you're gonna be like, how are you walking inside? And first of all, we want everybody to walk. We want people not to drive, right? And
Yep.
we have something around like maybe 3 miles of roads and pathways, and we're making now hiking trails as well. So like the idea is like, how can you walk and where are you going to meet with your friends? How can you have the healthy solitude in the place where you live, in your own land, in your own home, but at the same time you can have vibrant community life at your doorstep. But it's also that it's not disturbing you, you know. So that's why when you're gonna see the map of the Ark, you're gonna see that like we have certain certain amenities that are like, you see like they're on one entrance, and then the farm that occupies around 15 acres, it's like on the other entrance. So there is a community center, as you can see, like in the middle with the temple that we want to create for people to practice whatever practices they are bringing. It's disconnected from religion, but it's connected to faith. So the community center is the only central, let's say, location. The other things they're like they're on two exits of the Ark, let's say. So like you go there to socialize. It's not nothing is disturbing you. You know, like you don't live in front of the pool. I don't know. And that's like, you know, they're like people are screaming all day long. So like all this is happening in the different locations. And of course it's a huge site, right? It's almost 200 acres. So the distance, you've been there, distances are immense. You go and you see like mountain after mountain after mountain. It's still the Ark. So yeah, so that's how we came up with all amenities and businesses that we're adding. But at the same time, it's the beauty of the Ark is that this project is alive, and we are adding more and more things. For instance, even now, like, you know, we have added the school already, which you won't see here at the website.
Nice.
Working on it, and it's a mixture of Montessori and Waldorf education, and it's going to be a school for 200 kids that is also going to be serving for the kids from outside. But our dream is that kids who live inside of the Ark, they're gonna walk to the school. And I just like see, I always dream in pictures. So I see these pictures, how kids are walking by the paths that we're creating in nature to the school, and how they're walking back. And this is like, all is their home. So that's what we're kind of imagining, you know, and this kind of guides our development, like, you know, how kids are gonna be walking. Like, you know, we want them to walk certain area through the farm. So we intentionally making this pedestrian path through the farm, so they can walk from one side of the Ark to the school, but they every day gonna be passing through the farm, because we believe when they're gonna be encountering the farm, you know, it's gonna be like, it's unintentional kind of invitation to understand nature better.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of thought of creating the Ark as home rather than as business.
Yeah. And then that way too, it's like at the forefront of your mind. It really is the core of the whole community, right? To have that connection to one another. It's like there's all these separate cool amenities that are in the site plan, but at the core, it's like we have the stewardship of the land and growing food and that communal living. I love that you use the word luxurious, because it really, like, a lot of these eco villages, I feel like, get kind of a bad rap. Like there's this negative connotation of like, oh, it must be this, you know, rundown commune or something like that. But I think it's awesome what you're building, and just visiting, and the way that you had welcomed us and greeted us. And I love the 4 ethics that you all have too. It's like autonomy, you have the regeneration, like health, and community. So right, those are the 4
guiding principles of the Ark.
Yeah. And is that like for people who are wanting to move in, like what would you say those are like the values? I'm going to show to the website here, but are those like the values that you guys hold dear, and that's important, you feel like, for everyone to be aligned in that way? Because it says like-minded people. So is that kind of the core of the ethos?
It was our guiding principles were born from the idea that we needed a northern star or a compass where the ark's going to go, because Costa Rica is very famous for communities now. I think in general, like, intentional communities movement is huge, right? You know it better than me. So, and there are all sorts of communities. You can find whatever there. So we thought that, as the Ark is the project that was born from pandemic times, so we thought that we want to live the life that as free as possible. So to be as free as possible, we had to be as independent as possible, as autonomous or as sovereign as possible. We chose the word autonomy, but that's like kind of what, so that people who are joining the Ark, they can understand what is the driving force behind the Ark. So we're gonna go as much as possible to become as autonomous as possible in our living, so that our decisions are going to be dictated by these guiding principles. So autonomy is one. Regeneration is like we're reforesting 60% of the land. We are bringing back wildlife. So regeneration is an important factor. And it's not only regeneration of nature, it's also regeneration of human relationships.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, people who own this land before, we invited them to stay with us in the business. So they are silent profit-sharing partners, silent shareholders of the company that owns all Ark. And initially they didn't understand why I offered this to them. But for me, it was important that people who had this land for so many years, that we don't displace local population, that they stay with us, because that's what normally projects do, right? And like they're purchasing land from local population, and then whatever, the rest is history. So for us, we're married with these people, this beautiful Costa Rican family, and we are married with them forever. And health is like, we are a healthy community. That's the idea, right? That like I'm 41 this year, and like, we are out of the funny age when we were driven by, I don't know, whatever you call it, parties or something. So it's like, it's if you're looking for a party community, that's not us, and it's okay. We are not a project for everyone. But also, like, if you want a healthy lifestyle, if you want to be surrounded by people who are driven to become the best versions of themselves without being obsessed of biohacking or something. But if you want to live surrounded by people who care about their health, then that's us.
Yeah.
And community it's also like, our guiding principle is also like to share, to create this new system, as I was saying, of collaboration, cooperation, shared like by kindness. And sometimes it feels, and you said it right, like sometimes and that's why we call ourselves modern regenerative village, because we also don't want to think. Very often when people say like, oh, I live in the community of Costa Rica, I immediately imagine like a hippie living in the jungle. And I'm like, that's not us. That's like, with all my respect to hippies and to communities in Costa Rica, but that's very often the situation. We love comfort. I honestly, like, I love hot showers. Like we love beautiful environment. So it's to create this balance between contemporary living and at the same time modern living, but at the same time living in nature and taking care of nature and letting nature to take care of us. And this is possible, and that's what's the Ark.
Yeah, exactly. It was so funny because the first place we visited on the Ecovillage tour was Rancho Delicioso, which is close to y'all. And then we went to yours. It was like, it's like, okay, we all have similar ideals, but it's funny to see how different things can emerge. But yours too, you got this land 3 years ago, right? Like, what do you think, is that correct? And like, if so, what's the timeline to build things out? Like, you're already selling lots. When do you think realistically the whole community will be built out? Like 10 years, or like, is there like a phasing that you guys are doing? Because this is a huge undertaking.
It is a huge undertaking. Yeah, we think that in 3 years we're going to finish all the, let's say we're going to finish all the construction that's pertaining to us to build, right? Like, the amenities and other things and businesses as well. the speed with which people are joining, it's another thing. And we also think that honestly in 2-3 years we're gonna kind of be at the level where it's gonna be already like a community living, because now we have 21 grown-up residents and 4 kids.
Yeah.
So now every day people are joining. This was the first year, the first high season when we were started actively selling, and we started very active marketing, because we were still doing a lot of infrastructural works when we were not feeling comfortable of going out in the world. And now it is, we are out in the world, and then people are joining pretty fast. So we believe it's also going to be pretty quick process of 2 to maybe 5 years when people are going to populate the Ark. And again, 21 is already a good number, right? And we live at the Ark full time. And from 1st of December this year, we're going to start hosting events, and you're coming back, I hope, in January for the Ecovillages tour. So next year the Ark is going to function already as the Ark, as the village.
Yeah, that's awesome. And these things, Rome wasn't built in a day. Like, these things take time. And I think it was really strategic to get the food production and all of that. And like you said, even the infrastructure and all this can take years, right? So before more people are living there comfortably and all the amenities are built out, it's all like, a process. But if this is okay, I kind of wanted to transition into what you're planning to discuss at the Exit and Build Land Summit. So you're going to be traveling to Austin, Texas.
Yes.
Really excited to have you here in person. And day one of the event, we have you presenting. I'll just share screen here. Do you want to share with everyone what you're planning to cover?
Yes. Oh, thank you. That's a cool one. Yes, I think first of all, I read more in details about the summit, and I think it's an amazing idea, and thank you for what you're doing. It's really fascinating, because it's kind of like this one space where people can understand everything, because it's a new space, right? Like you said it yourself, like we are going out from the system that's not serving, and solo journey and this going out is very complicated. So thank you first of all for what you're doing. And I believe like what I want to share at my speech at your summit is that first of all, our experience with the Ark, the system that we're creating, because here we don't have enough time, and it's a very detailed system. But practically the system that we're creating, where we are fostering collaboration and cooperation, and how we can make it happen. And it might not be an answer to everything, but maybe it will inspire, or it will serve as an example for someone. Because the Ark essentially is this: we want to be an open source book, or open book or an open source for people to take ideas from us, to use our learning curve and do their projects as well. So we are not targeting, and I know it takes the shift of mindset, because people don't believe in us in the beginning, but then they're like, when they're having more interactions with us, then like it was truth. So we're not planning to do other communities. We're not planning to make developments all over the world. We're not planning to consult everybody. We're not converting it into business, because we strongly believe that we have to share knowledge for the idea of common success, because that's now the new system that's emerging, that's appearing. And if we are going to take the previous kind of mindset with which the previous system was created, we're not going to go anywhere. And first of all, cooperation is the thing that has to be driving the new creation of this new system, right? It's we all kind of okay. I'm not gonna go into prove it. I mean, we all kind of, or let's say so, a lot of scientists now agree that Darwin's theory was not exactly so, and it's not survival of the fittest, but it's more of like elimination of the weakest, and it's not and it's not competition, but it's more cooperation, because nature doesn't compete, but nature cooperates. But anyway, the system was created, thanks system, because it created us as well. Now maybe it's our time to create a new one. So that's what I'm going to be talking about at your summit.
Well, we're really excited to have you. Yeah, definitely cooperation, co-creation, collaboration. It's like that's the new language, right? And I think that a lot of awakening is happening in this time, and it's hard to visualize for some folks. So seeing projects like this helps to ground those, maybe ideas and make it feel more concrete. Like even visiting the various communities in Costa Rica, like there's so much happening in Costa Rica, and we'll see, I believe, in the years to come, many more of these alternative human settlements, if you will, emerge. And so you're really a pioneer in that space, and I appreciate your work and the Ark. And I wanted to end on this note too. Why did you name it the Ark? I know why, I was there when you said it, but I just wanted you to say it during the interview because it's so cool, like the story behind that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, now I realize that maybe whenever we say the Ark, it can come to like very religious aspect. It has nothing to do with religion, aside of being the Ark as the vessel. And when people go like and ask me sometimes, oh, the Ark, like the arches, I'm like, no, the Ark is the ship. and yeah, we always wanted to have this word in the naming, and we were thinking of different names of Archaea, Arcana, whatever. And then I was like, no, let's call it the Ark, and let's be bold about it, because the world needs bold solutions now. And we want to be this vessel for best human practices. We want to be not connected to something one, we don't like, we want to respect all indigenous traditions and cultures. We want to respect all cultures and traditions in general. We want to celebrate all holidays. We believe that new system requires this, like, unification. And we thought that the Ark is a perfect example how best practices, or let's say religious example or biblical example, of like, all animals. But let's say the Ark is like this metaphorical kind of idea how the best practices can be gathered in one. So that's why we're called the Ark.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I'll open it up for folks if anyone has questions. Let me share your website here. It is theark.world. And as we mentioned before, I'm really excited to see you at the Exit and Build Land Summit. And so hopefully, we'll all find where we fit in this little transition we're encountering as a species. But you have really, planted yourself as a leader in creating a big scale, big grand vision. And it's just very inspiring. So thank you. Like seeing your site plan, it was like, oh, my jaw just hit the floor. It's like everything I've ever dreamed of in terms of like amenities and like having the residential lots and the little land preservation space. Like it's very well thought out, and obviously it's already been successful for you guys because you've sold already, tons of lots. So people want this lifestyle, and it's amazing that you're building it out. I know it's a struggle. I was involved in a tiny home agri-hood community and doing all the lots and selling the tiny homes there and getting all the amenities built out and keeping residents happy. It was 3 years, very interesting 3 years of my life. Let's put it that way. But tiny homes are different than an agri-hood is different than an eco-village, right? So this is like really cool what you're building, and I know it's hard work. So thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you so much.
And we're excited to see you in person soon, like 2
Yes.
weeks. Woohoo!
Very soon.
Well, thank you so much for being on today. I'll send out the replay link. I'll let you go. And the website's here. If folks want to learn more, you can book a consultation call. You can, reach out and submit a contact form or call the team down there in Costa Rica. And if you are wanting to maybe visit first, of course, they are part of the Ecovillage Tours experience, which Cynthia Tina facilitates. So awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I'll see you here in the next 2 weeks.
Yes. See you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching today. I was really excited to take this interview because originally John was going to be meeting and he boogied out. He has this marketing conference that he had signed up for. And so I feel like the stars really aligned because, being able to see the Ark in person, and there's this cute little shipping container building where they have the site plan, a little deck patio area, and then we went on a tour and saw all the food production and regenerative agriculture. We shared an amazing meal, and you could literally see out on the ocean and all the pretty rolling mountains and stuff. It was a really awesome experience, honestly. And if you want to get in on the ground floor, this is the website. If you're looking to move to Costa Rica, or you're considering where to relocate, if you're wanting to pursue this lifestyle, there are lots that are available. The ark.world. And as I mentioned, we have the Exit and Build Land Summit schedule up. So everyone needs to understand that this is 3 days of very well-designed flow. This conference is intended to accelerate your exit and build goals. It's not really something that you can tap in for one day and expect to really get all the information you need in order to kickstart this transition in your life. So if you want to buy land, if you want to build community, if you want to have more reliance, self-reliance, if you living, if you want to pursue a lifestyle in alignment with your values, maybe set up, for the future generations to come and to be that catalyst of change. We have so many amazing presenters who are going to be sharing how they've pursued this lifestyle. We should learn from one another. We should take these experiences that other people have already gone down this path. Why reinvent the wheel? So when thinking of speakers to invite and how the schedule would be drafted, first and foremost, when I was in Costa Rica, I received a download regarding the eagle and condor prophecy. That the time that this is just really emerging is now. And it's thought that it really began in the 1990s, but very much a high interest, a high demand in growing your own food, becoming, aligned with permaculture ethics. And that is why we decided to have the theme this year be the eagle and condor prophecy. And it is an integral part of the entire experience. In fact, our keynote speaker, Joel Salatin, has created a custom presentation, and he said that this prophecy has actually guided much of his work the last few decades. The emergence of the masculine, the feminine, the technology, the indigenous wisdom, the land stewardship, and, as opposed to the contrast of really raping and using the land in malicious ways. And how can we come together to create peace, to create a beautiful world where all of our needs are met and more, where we all have basic understanding of, one's needs, feelings, conflict resolution mechanisms, without relying so much on centralized institutions that often don't serve our needs and often are inefficient and often are causing more conflict than good. So this schedule really is going to offer up some insight as to what you'll experience these 3 days. And I don't want to bore you, but I'm just going to roll through it and explain kind of how this 3-day experience will impact your life. So first of all, if you can't come in person, sign up right now. Click this Get Tickets button and just put in your name, your email. You don't have to do your phone number, but if you want up-to-date notifications, it'll text you. And basically, it's going to give you the option to watch for free. So we have, just do this. Okay, so we have the first day and a half of the entire conference is going to be completely free to watch virtually if you can't come in person. So by doing this, you're going to get signed up. You'll get access to all the live stream and the replays, okay? But what we have done is we've brought in some other speakers for the last half of day 2 and all of day 3, which are very in-depth workshops, community matchmaking, a little more interactive, if you will. And this is going to be the virtual immersion pass. Now, the best way, and that will give you all 3 days, okay? So you might as well just sign up for the free pass. You have nothing to lose. But the in-person ticket, guys, if you can come, there are still tickets available. So we have 3 days of fun. Farm-to-table meals are included with your ticket. You'll have lunch. It's like a buffet line. Chef Ray caters, and we provide delicious meals sourced from our local farmers. We're doing immersive farm tours as well if you come in person on Thursday, the day before the 3-day event, and Monday, the day after the 3-day event. So if you are able to come in person, you can actually go see communities. We're going to Sovereignty Ranch on Monday. It's a 200-acre farm. It's an amazing property. It has a magnesium soaking pond. It has a restaurant, like 18, I believe, greenhouses. We're going to do an epic farm tour. And the producers of Common Ground, the documentary that you really can't even see it anywhere else, are going to be there to do a screening and then a Q&A. So this is from the producers, or the people who created the Kiss the Ground documentary. You might have seen it on Netflix, but now they've made a sequel called Common Ground. I actually got to see it when I was out at Sovereignty Ranch a few weeks ago. It's amazing. One of the best documentaries I've ever seen. Anyway, but when you sign up, you will get a few perks and bonuses here, okay? So this is how you sign up for the event. This is the Exeter Pass. This is what you're going to get for the 3 days. This was the behind the scenes last year, the VIP room, farm tours on the stage. We're doing a really cool stage design. That's Erica Dorn. She's an industrial designer. She's done our stage the last few years. We're going to do a really cool setup this year to guide you through the experience with the theme of the event. So let me scroll down. Now, if you have kids and you're a little nervous about finding childcare, we actually have provided that for you. I'll get into those details. We have a awesome VIP dinner as well. So if you want to help support the event and help support the most impactful experience for yourself, the VIP ticket, you do get to see almost speakers will be at the VIP dinner, all the sponsors, people who you'll be able to network with and really form these long-lasting relationships. We have a private VIP lounge. You get to sit in the front table. And so, yay, lots of perks. And then anyway, let me keep scrolling here. This is what you would do to opt in, where do you just want to do the 3-day virtual immersion pass? Do you want to come in person for 3 days? Or do you want to go big or go home with the VIP pass in person? Woo! But anyway, I mentioned about childcare. So we do have New Earth creators, Bonnie Taub. She's going to be providing a really cool program for 3 days for children ages 5 to 15. That would be an added on expense, but very reasonable for childcare. And then here, the meals are included with the ticket price if you come in person. Just if you're like gluten-free or vegan or whatever, this is where you can actually select and say, oh, I am a vegetarian or whatever, so that we can inform Chef Ray. And then boom, that's it. Get your tickets. So let's go through the schedule, guys. I'm so excited about this. So anyone who's come to our events before knows that we are big friends with David Rodriguez. He always brings the fire. He is our buddy, but he is also a freedom fighter, and he's just so inspiring. So we actually asked David to be our ME, our master of energy. So he's going to guide us through the event. He's going to be MEing. So he'll welcome everyone at 9 a.m. sharp. If you can show up in person at 8, even better, get a good seat. We have our iconic coffee booth, our Kratom bar, all the goodness. So you can grab a drink, find your seat. John and I will then introduce kind of what folks will expect throughout the weekend. We are delighted to be joined by Miriam Gomez, who will be leading a very grounded guided meditation to set the intention for this 3-day experience, this transformative experience. Miriam actually just acquired property in Mexico about a year ago with her partner, Derek Rose, who will be the next speaker, aka the creator of the term exit and build, if you will. You also know him, of course, through the Greater Reset, the Conscious Resistance Network. He's an amazing journalist. And so he's going to be kind of setting the stage for the exit and build movement and why this is so important. There are a lot of agendas and schemes to create this centralized, one world government vibe that's like control. Like, this is perverted. There's a lot of weird things happening in the world right now. And instead of focusing on that, what we're going to have Derek do is really set the stage for what does our 2030 look like. If we could say, instead of the great reset, if we could sit down and say, here's our goals, here's how we see things going for the future 7 generations to come, and how we're going to regenerate the soil and make the world a better place, and live cooperatively. And so Yoshi and Pola will be actually presenting what the Eagle and Condor prophecy is, which is something that has been, I think, for many generations, throughout various indigenous cultures, this is believed to have started 500 years after the 1500s. So arguably it isn't like 2024 is the year, like it's kind of loose ended, but there are a lot of interesting things happening in the world that are pointing to, this bridge, right? This reconnection, this desire for peace and to regenerate the planet, and how these two worlds are coming together in order to achieve those goals. So we're really excited to have them join us. Danny and Vanessa are going to be speaking also on Indigenous culture, and just like really understanding how far we've departed from the ways in which humanity evolved as a species, and how living in harmony with nature has really been just not at the forefront of many people's minds in the last few decades. And the industrial revolution and all these things that, they brought amazing innovations and technology and stuff, but what wisdom do we need to reintroduce into our consciousness, and really focusing on that. John's going to round things out. Ryan will then thank our sponsors, which we are grateful to all of our sponsors. Thank you. We appreciate you. You can see who's supported the event here. They're all going to have tables and exhibitor booths too, so you can visit them at the event if you come in person. We'll have our farm to table meal. We're going to get an update after lunch from Amanian River. A lot of people have been asking us, Haven Earth, their project in Tennessee, what's going on? And so they have accomplished so much in the last year, and they're doing this through private membership association, land trust, and they've already got yurts set up, food production. They're really rocking and rolling. So let's get some inspiration from how much they've accomplished in a short amount of time, and you'll see an update there. We're also going to kick things off with success stories from previous attendees who now are property owners who are pursuing the exit and build lifestyle. So just because you're an attendee sitting in the seat and maybe you don't have land yet, you're still living in an apartment or whatever, that doesn't mean that, in the future you wouldn't yourself be on a panel like this sharing your success story. And so let's hear from people who are, who have bought land, who are working on projects like this. And there are a lot of things that go into this lifestyle. So it's good to, remind ourselves that a lot can happen if you just really set your mind to purpose. So Melanie Rubin, also, she is sponsoring the event too. We're really excited to have her as a sponsor and an exhibitor. So that's lovely. But she'll be discussing ways to leave the matrix and join parallel society if it seems a little like, how would I do this? How have others done this? You'll see some, case studies. And Cynthia Tina is also going to do something similar, but specifically for intentional communities, and really just grounding this, whether it's a homestead or a larger scale intentional community or a large scale eco-village like what Marat's working on with the Ark. Let's see some examples, because there's thousands all over the world. And then, of course, Marat will be presenting, and he was just on the show today. Yay. Thank you, Marat, for being on the show. So he'll be kind of diving in deeper on the Ark and how they have built out their community. Mike Cobb, also a sponsor. Thank you to ECI Development. We appreciate you. Not everyone wants to be in the United States, so it's important to think, when we're talking about bridging the East and the West and the North and the South and all these different options, not everyone wants to do this in Texas or in the United States. So just figuring out ways to get, if you need to go to Central America, South America, etc., and just having a backup plan. And then Speaking of Mexico, we have the indigenous Charan, the town basically, John and I visited. Oh my gosh, there was like a revolution, an uprising. It's such a cool story. We're actually going to have representatives from Charan speaking about what they have built out, how they have really retrograded back to the indigenous decision-making forms that were utilized by their town for generations. And then when they kicked out, the politicians after that had all been hijacked, and the cartels, they were all in collusion with the loggers, how they kind of went back to those indigenous ways, as well as regenerating their forest, which a lot of their trees were getting cut down. The loggers were taking them. They're trying to plant like avocado trees. The spring was drying up. And actually, it was the women and the children really who stood up and said, Basta ya, enough is enough. Such a cool story. We're just so honored that they'll be joining us. They are going to be coming in virtually, but either way, we're excited to have them. And then Patry Friedman will be presenting, and this is like larger scale, like if you've ever heard of like free private cities or charter cities, or even he also created the Seasteading Institute, floating cities like on the ocean. That might seem kind of out there, but anyway, he'll be kind of discussing this in terms of like, how could this be at a larger scale? You got your homestead, then maybe bigger than that intentional community, or an eco-village, and then, your village, and then your city. So it's like, there's all these different ways, but that's what he's going to be discussing. And then Mike Adams from Natural News, unfortunately, he's heavily censored. So whenever we try to post on Instagram and stuff with his name, there's like all these flags. It's crazy. But so he's going to be speaking, and this is going to be our last presentation of the day. And part of the Eagle Condor prophecy too is like the connection, like bringing modern tech in with that indigenous wisdom, and so kind of the fusion of those worlds. But anyhow, so that'll be a really cool way to round out day one. We are also going to have a concert, and that's going to be 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. at Community Gardens. So that's exciting. And we have Derek Bros performing, Nicholas Aslan, Emma Zek, and then Betsy Dewey, who I will be interviewing on my podcast tomorrow. So that's exciting to see Betsy then. Saturday, we'll come back at 9 a.m. Nicole Sauce will kick things off. We're going to be flowing more so into like alternative currency, entrepreneurship. I'm going to speed this up too because I've been talking for a while. So we've got Catherine Hicks and the Liberty Dollar. We actually created a custom exit and build silver coins, really cool. But with Liberty Dollar, they worked on us with us on that. But she'll be discussing on the alternative to banking. And of course, Hakeem is very keen on alternative technology and like, his above phone and ways to kind of have tech work with you, not against you. And so he'll be discussing regenerative technologies for your land project. We're excited to have Angel Miller all the way from Canada, who created Creekside R&R Glamping. She's going to be on the entrepreneur panel and to discuss glamping and ways to cash flow and really incorporate artisan goods. Nicole Sauce, of course, as well, with Living Free in Tennessee. And she has her Holler Roast coffee company. And then Jack Spirko with the Survival Podcast, and ways with his homestead even has monetized, different ways you can monetize and have projects on the land. And then JP Sears is joining us. I'm really excited for this. And so he's obviously a big name and, really famous comedian. But he also, fled from California and is living in Texas now and has embraced more of the outside the city lifestyle. And so we're excited to have him present. Molly Engelhardt is another person who had to leave California due to the, environment there, and the way that the policies are in place just really has pushed a lot of people out. But we're excited now that she's a Texan, and she also has Sovereignty Ranch, which is the farm we're going to be visiting on Monday. So she'll be presenting. She's also on the board of the Kiss the Ground documentary, which, like I was explaining, Common Ground is going to be streamed at the Exit and Build Land Summit Farm Tour on Monday, and the producers will be doing a Q&A, a live Q&A at Sovereignty Ranch in Bandera, Texas. So that's really cool. And then Matt Powers actually lives really close to John and I learned. He was on John's podcast a few weeks ago. But anyway, he's really famous in the permaculture space and has really helped a lot of people. Actually, he came in person for his podcast interview. I've got his stickers here. So he has regenerativesoilscience.com. But anyway, he is going to be presenting. And yeah, I just happen to have the stickers here. Jack Spirko, of course, from the Survival Podcast. He'll be speaking next. And a lot of people want to learn about food production and more hands-on with like soil health and composting. And Lucinda Bailey is also a sponsor. Thank you, Lucinda and Kurt with Texas Ready. But on the topic of food production, she'll be discussing building gardens, building relationships. So this is like, I can speak from firsthand experience. It's so much better when you have like a work party and people come over for a garden party and you build out the food production systems together. It's a great way to not only grow gardens, but also to grow community. So she'll be kind of diving into how you can do that. And then we're going to have our local food producer panel. So these are folks who are primarily, from Central Texas. We have the Central Texas Farm Tours on Thursday, May 16th. So you'll be able to actually sign up. Once you get your in-person ticket, you get the website link. You can sign up and see Freedom Farms. And so Darren Lutz from Freedom Farms will be on this panel. Brienne is going to be on this panel from Plum Fabulous. John Pantalone from Amber Oaks. And then actually, we're also going to have Sean Hawkins, who's well-known in the permaculture space. And who else known in the permaculture space than the co-originator of permaculture himself? So David Holmgren will be rounding out day 2, and he will be virtual. He is based in Australia. And I don't know if you caught it, but John actually just had him on his podcast last night, so you can check that episode. But whether you live in the suburbs or you live in an apartment and you're wanting to get out of the cities, he'll discuss ways to kind of get this lifestyle going, even if you aren't in a position to move out in the country immediately. Okay, guys, my throat's starting to hurt, so I'm just going to round this out. So we're going to have various breakout sessions on Sunday. So this is, even if you're virtual, this is going to be much more interactive and in-depth. So if you're in person, we're doing the prayer worship service in the morning at 8 a.m., which will be led by Kurt. And then John and David will invite everyone to the main hall, 9 a.m. sharp. Kurt really wanted to share with people, he's done a lot of research on the recent eclipses that have been going on since 2017 and some of the coincidences. And so again, with the Eagle Condor prophecy and the timing and the year 2024 and different things that have been happening in the world and everything kind of coming to this feels like this turning point, right? It's like a turning point. Something feels like is in the ether, at least I feel like it is. Really understanding that through the lens of using the messages from the stars to interpret and understand like where we're at right now, and if that has any, grounding with how we live our day-to-day life. Also, a lot of people last year loved this, so we're going to have another one on the exiting the healthcare system, the pharmaceutical industry, these systems that we're aiming to exit and build sick care instead of healthcare. So we're excited to have Jim Miller, and this is going to be in the other breakout room. And then if you're thinking about moving to Texas, our realtor, Deb, she is going to be leading in the main hall a workshop on buying real estate, part of it to just land opportunities in general in Texas. A lot of people want to come here for the freedom movement in Texas. They want to relocate, but maybe aren't necessarily sure what county to purchase in or kind of the ins and outs of what to look for in any part of, the country, right? If you're trying to buy land. So she is a seasoned pro and will guide you through this. Yoshi and Pola will be doing a workshop as well on regenerative culture. And then actually, instead of doing a competing workshop, we just want everyone to come back to the main room for this important workshop on private membership associations, land trusts, creating a ministry, just like private ways to get out of the, kind of matrix systems and create these new earth systems, if you will. So we're excited to have Bradley Logan. He is going to be presenting from Prosperous Legacy Advisors. And so a lot of people have always come to John and I asking about, PMAs, private membership associations, and like how to set whether it's their business or their land-based project up. So we're really honored to have Bradley flying all the way from Costa Rica to join us for this hour and 15-minute long workshop. So that's really cool. And then community matchmaking. If you're doing this virtually, Cynthia Tina will be leading your experience. If you're in person, we're going to round out the interactive portion of the in-person event with community matchmaking, where we'll have various topics of interest as well as geographical areas that you'd want to build community. And it's like this amazing, like huge hive mind networking experience. Like you really have to experience it in person. I think it's pretty awesome, but the virtual one's cool too. We do it in Zoom. She has like different breakout rooms and stuff. And then we're going to really wrap things up here. Our last speaker is Joel Salatin. He's our keynote presenter. And as I mentioned earlier, he created a custom presentation all about the unity and harvest, the eagle and condor prophecy. And so I think this is just, it's a lot to kind of process, but the 3 days are really going to offer you a lot of good information about the what it takes really to understand the urgency, and then not just the mindset, but also like how do you make this work financially? How do you make this work spiritually? How do you make this lifestyle work communally, and having those agreements in place, and land acquisition, and figuring out all the pieces to the puzzle that you really have to wrap your mind around in order to exit and build. So if you are a Live Free Academy member, we're also going to have an in-person member dinner. So we hope that you'll be able to join us for that as well. And yes, that was a mouthful. So if you have any questions about anything with the Land Summit, here is the website, exitandbuildlandsummit.com. Here's the website. And we have had a lot of folks asking questions about how to sign up for the farm tours. So you are only going to get the invitation link to sign up and register for a farm tour after you purchase your in-person ticket. So you purchase your 3-day conference ticket, and that's when you get invited to go see these farms. And you can select Thursday farm tour, $60. You see 3 different farms. It comes with lunch. And then also you can do the Monday farm tour in Bandera, Texas, $60, and it comes with lunch. So once you get your 3-day ticket, you will get an email with the website to sign up for those farm tours. And we hope that you can join us. Again, you can get your ticket at the exitandbuildlandsummit.com website. If you go to that website, just put in your email address, your name, and then it'll bring you to the page where if you just want to do the free portion, that's fine. It's already selected. And then that comes with the first day and a half of talks. If you would like to have all 3 days of talks virtually, that is called the Virtual Immersion Pass. It's just over $100. And you get access to the workshops and those evening presentations on Saturday. So all 3 days. If you come to the in-person event, that you get access to the replays as well. If you want to go back and rewatch talks and stuff, we're filming everything. But there's the in-person general admission ticket. That's just over $300. So a little bit over $100 a day. You get lunch. You get all these great presentations, industry experts in permaculture, homesteading, eco-villages, intentional communities, and really all things exit and build. So we hope that you'll be able to join us. If you have any questions, please email this email address, helpdesk@livefree.academy. If you want to promote the event, if you want to share about it, we do have programs in place with like cool little images and things so that you can, share it on your social media. We appreciate all of our freedom friends, sharing the event with others so that we can maximize the impact and really get people jazzed up about this event. And yeah, with that being said, thank you all for listening. We really appreciate you all. It takes a lot to put on an event like this, so I wanted to make sure that everyone's aware of the schedule and that everyone's aware of really what they're getting themselves into when they register. We've had a lot of people actually who, we had Ryan and his team were calling folks who had attended previous years to say, hey, do you want to come in person, et cetera. And as they were calling folks, they were hearing, oh, I actually attended the event, and due to the experience, I got the information I needed to get the land. And I'm just so busy now that I have the land and I'm building my gardens. I'm not able to come in person. So it's kind of like bittersweet because we want to see folks come back again. But it just goes to show that if you can commit your weekend, your at least 3 days, we promise you're going to get the medicine you need in order to feel inspired and also have the information and the tools so that you can pursue this lifestyle. And just like the feeling that you're not alone is like so powerful in and of itself. You're not alone. You're not isolated. There is a lot of strength in numbers. It's definitely a shortcut when you can find partners and people to do this with, and not think that everything has to fall on your shoulders. So our goal is to deliver all that information to you, and we really poured our heart and souls into this event. Traveling far and wide, bringing in contacts we've met from all over the world to deliver the most important information so that you can pursue your exit and build goals. Like Marat, for instance, I knew the second I met him, I was like, we've got to have this guy speak at the Land Summit. But just, projects like this, like what he's doing at Costa Rica with the Ark, like they're happening. This is happening. Like, you can do it. Don't feel like you can't. Like, it's all about just committing to figuring out how you're going to do it, like setting your mind to purpose, and just, the rest will all fall into place. So I hope that you guys can join. Again, the website is exitandbuildlandsummit.com. You can register there for free. And then if you want to get your ticket to come in person, I would recommend doing it as soon as possible. We do have enough seats for 500 people in person. And this is in Bastrop, Texas. It's 30 minutes east of Austin, Texas Airport. We do have childcare set up with New Earth creators. They're going to have a really fun program for those 3 days. It's only $30 for childcare. That's like $10 a day. Very reasonably priced. If you have any questions, of course, email helpdesk@livefree.academy. And with that being said, I'm just going to wrap up and say thank you all for listening. Really appreciate you all. And I hope that you'll join us for the Exit and Build Land Summit. And thank you to Marat for being on the show today. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I hope you'll join me tomorrow with Betsy Dewey from Freedom Junkie Radio. She's one of the musicians who will be playing at the concert we are going to host at Community Gardens during the Exit and Build Land Summit. So thanks, y'all.